What's up, guys? Long-time listener, first-time caller. I've got a question about the Chicago Bears backfield. Even in an ambiguous backfield, we're still usually pretty good at picking out the best options, but I feel like this year the Bears backfield is an absolute basket case. We've got D'Onta Foreman, who they brought in, who was really good in Carolina last year. Roschon Johnson, the new rookie hotness, who was great behind Bijan at Texas. Khalil Herbert is still the original guy there. And then there's Justin Fields above all of that. Like, you could make a case that any one of these guys will lead the team in rushing by the end of the season. What are we doing here? Who are you drafting?
Mike, let's start with you.
So Ryan McDowell and I did Locked On Dynasty, I think last week. I forget when it was, but I went into detail on this backfield because he was big into Roschon Johnson. And here's the thing, and I'm going to give you the lowdown on the Bears backfield. There is no value there. The fact is that you're going to try to look at this backfield and say, who is the best of the three? And I'm going to tell you it doesn't matter, because it's not that someone has to be better than the others. They have to dominate this backfield to have any value. And we've seen Herbert flash. We saw what Foreman did in Carolina, and we saw Roschon Johnson in limited usage behind Bijan Robinson. So the fact is, if you can't get 70 to 80% of this backfield with the amount that Justin Fields is going to take in rushing, you're not going to get real value. And there's so many other players that you can pick up in that range of ADP that are going. We talked about, I'd even take a shot at Damian Harris over any of them in hopes that, he gets some goal line looks. But this backfield is disgusting. And it doesn't matter who wins.
Just another one in the same range.
Go for it.
Chase Brown. Do you feel? So here's how I feel. If Chase Brown comes out, where did he go? If Mixon gets hurt and Chase Brown is the only guy behind him, and he comes out and puts out X amount of production for X amount of fantasy points, and then also the first day of Chicago putting up points comes out and X player puts up the same amount of points as Chase Brown, Chase Brown's going to be worth a lot more than whether it's Khalil Shakir or D'Onta Foreman or whoever it's going to be. It's just there's still going to be always that struggle where you can find way, way cheaper options who have a lot less struggle and only need to put up the same amount of fantasy points. Does that make sense?
It does. I just don't know if Brown's the guy I would use. I think really the guy that we're looking for is like a Jaylen Warren. Definitely falls into that category of someone I would take over every single one of the Bears. Kendre Miller, as we're looking already at a suspension for Alvin Kamara, is somebody that I take over any of the Bears, both in Dynasty and in redraft. So I think we have a lot of those types of players that we can point to that fit that narrative. Brown, for me, it's just, I don't know if I can go that far with him. I just don't know if the talent's there, and I'm actually still I know he just went down, but a Travion Williams guy, he still has my heart a little bit, and I think they might be an equal mess if Mixon goes down. I don't think it's a clear-cut 1A, but the narrative fits with a lot of other players for me, and Warren and Kendre Miller are the first two that come to mind that I think are far more valuable than anything you get out of the Chicago Bears backfield.
So I wanted to get more specific, and I'm trying to throw somebody else onto the island that you're painting, right? And could Elijah Mitchell be the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Elijah Mitchell is another player who I would say has more value than anything that we're going to see in that backfield. I think there's a lot of those two back sets. Obviously, anybody in Detroit, both backs are going to have far more valuable than anyone in Chicago. And I think that's the problem is we get spun around this starter tag. But it's almost like in baseball where you talk about like a bullpen game, you're just a starter by name, but you're only going to throw 2 innings. That's like what's going to happen with the Bears' best back. They're going to get maybe 2 series. The guy you went way too high over in ADP and Tank Bigsby is a guy I would put in there as well that I would take over anybody in the Bears' backfield. There's just not a ceiling that I like for any of these guys, and you need 2 injuries to take off. And that's really a proposition that scares the hell out of me because, like you said, there's so many guys that are 1 injury away from stardom. Why would you place a bet on 2 injuries away?